What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. To focus in on the Bob McKenzie had a radio appearance in Toronto yesterday, I believe, or might have been this morning. I caught up with it on Twitter, and apparently someone asked him with the Jacob Trouba situation going on, would Jacob Trouba for Taylor Hall trade have possibly been consummated in back in June before Edmonton shipped Taylor Hall to New Jersey? And McKenzie has some good points, but I also want to add my 2 cents on it. You can check out on Twitter. I think there's a link somewhere to the interview too. But Winnipeg looks at themselves as being set on the left side with, Kyle Connor, obviously Patrick Laine. He's pretty good when I heard Nick Ehlers. They've got forwards like that, but the notion of all those 3 guys, two of whom have never played a shift in the NHL, being better than Taylor Hall is ridiculous. If hypothetically a Trouba for Taylor Hall trade was on the table, and I'm not saying that was the case, and Winnipeg turned it down because, we like what we have here with some. It's like, really? That explains why your team's, even in both of its existences, is, had its struggles, and I think hypothetically you make that trade that probably wasn't a thing, and then, you've got Kyle Connor is a sought-after commodity. You could flip him to get some help on defense. And I like Kyle Connor. I wouldn't want to trade him. But if you can get some legitimate help on the blue line, kind of all pieces itself out. And, you have whoever you're able to flip, some of your young forwards for to plug in on defense. And you get Taylor Hall up front. A pretty good team in the Western Conference. And, you got Laine coming over. And, I think, their games are similar, so you really can't play them together. But you can find a spot for them. Now, I say that, but Edmonton has had a hard time finding spots for high-end forwards for the last, 6 or 7 years. So, all right, maybe I'm not 100% spot on there, but, it's just weird the way some of these teams think. And, is Trouba better than Adam Larsson? It's close, but I don't think so. And I've watched a lot of them over the years, and I think my issue with Larsson was I don't think Pete DeBoer gave him a long enough leash early on, and I think it kind of shit on his confidence a little bit. I think John Hines was a good coach for him, and I think Hines probably would have helped elevate his game had he stayed in New Jersey, but we'll see what happens. But again, it's just one of those situations. Again, it's a hypothetical. There's no factual information that this trade was ever a possible thing, but if that's Winnipeg's MO with their forwards, then you got to think outside the box to win. That's just the way it is in the NHL. But we'll see what happens. And apparently, Jacob Trouba may not like the notion of playing in Canada. So anyway, that's all I got. Episode of Power Play with CJ. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the off season and beyond. Later, guys.